Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Premier Chels, your source for all things Premier League, but starting with Chelsea first. Coming to you on your speakers and headsets. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jackie from Houston, and I have Alex here from Maine. Unfortunately, Rahul cannot join us today. He has some family obligations, but we do have a very special guest, and that is Will Greggs from @Willtalks.futbol. He's on Instagram. Check him out. But Will, give us a little introduction about yourself.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Will. I'm an Arsenal fan from New York. And, I became an Arsenal fan after the 2014 World Cup. At the time, I didn't really understand football or soccer. I don't know what you guys say here, but I didn't really understand it. So it was after the World Cup, an Arsenal game was on, and I forgot who they were playing, but they were winning like 3-0. Like, it was some crazy score. So I thought that meant that they were the best team in the world. So here I am as an Arsenal fan. So... Ooh. Yeah. I mean, I think it was pretty much just like whoever I watched that day that won. It was just by coincidence that the game was on. And, at the time, I thought that in football, soccer, whatever, that, you score one goal, you take off your shirt, you run around. So when I saw 3 goals, I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, so this must be the best team in the world. After I started to get into it, I was like, oh, what have I done here? But
no, look, that's a good story. I think that's a good way to get started. A lot of people just follow a team by watching a game one day. I have a similar story. Favorite player really quickly before we get kicked off.
I'm going to have to go with Neymar. If it wasn't for Neymar, I wouldn't be into the sport at all. Because watching Brazil, I think I've seen him play like 2 games, and I was like, oh, okay, like he's pretty cool. So definitely Neymar.
Excellent. So if he's on the market, hopefully Arsenal will be putting up a transfer offer for him soon. All right, we'll jump into Alex. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, doing well. I will say I've probably had a better weekend than Will has, but
look, let's jump right into it and dissect this, because Arsenal opened up the Premier League season on Friday to newcomers Brentford, and Will, it didn't go so well, man.
I mean, it was, the thing is that you're surprised, but then you're not surprised at the same time, especially with the way that Arsenal has been the past 2 seasons, or you could even say since post Wenger, how we've just been on like a steady decline ever since. And look, I've been trying to tell people that Arteta is a fraud, and all that I got was the super positive, the club can never do wrong kind of people saying you're a fake fan, trust the process. I even get accused of being a Tottenham or Chelsea fan because I always just drag Arsenal. So like, terrible way to start off the season. It's crazy to think that Brentford's first ever Premier League win is against Arsenal, and it was a 2-0 win, clean sheet and everything. So it's disgraceful.
Yeah, it's a tough one to swallow, especially opening day of the season. Everybody's ready, excited to go. Y'all just spent 50 million on a center back, so you would assume defensive wise probably there's a step up there. But Alex, your thoughts really quickly on that game?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I sort of agree with Will in that it wasn't as surprising a result as we've seen at times, because my dad does a predictions league. So he and I were debating, what should we predict? What do we think the score is going to be? And I always have to stop because I am a very biased Chelsea fan. I'll admit it. So I have to stop when I'm thinking about Arsenal and be like, am I predicting they'll lose out of my own desires, or am I being honest? Fair enough. I thought to myself, you have Arsenal coming off a slightly shaky preseason. I mean, obviously you don't judge the preseason results, but shaky preseason, not really many super high profile transfers. Obviously you have Ben White, but I don't think he's the type to transform a side. He's just a solid squad signing. And then I was thinking to myself, when you have Brentford 74 years without Premier League football, starting at home in front of their fans, I thought they'd be hungry for it. I thought the players would be doing everything to get the taste of a win on their first time out in the top flight and to grab themselves a goal. So I actually did. I believe my dad predicted a win. We sort of settled on a Brentford 2-1 win because I did think Brentford had it in them to just almost want it more, given that it was such an exciting occasion for them. Though Arsenal certainly have the quality to overcome that Brentford side, you would think, on their day, but clearly just wasn't their day. I'm interested, Will, and maybe what you think went wrong for the Arsenal squad.
For me, I think that Arteta is really just winging it. Now, the thing with me is that I don't understand. Somebody's calling me. I don't understand why. How you learn from. Well, first, Arteta learned he was at Barcelona. Then you go to Arsenal. He was a player coach with Arteta. then you leave Arsenal, then you become an assistant manager to Pep Guardiola at Man City. So you're at 3 distinct places where they play very attractive football, free-flowing football, a lot of shots, a lot of possession. Now, how is it that you get the opportunity to become a head coach at Arsenal, a very big club? I don't care what nobody says. We're still a big club. We just operate like a small club now, but we are considered a big club still. But how do you get the job and then you just don't apply anything that you've learned? So to me, I just think it's just a lack of preparation. I don't think that Arteta really knows what he needs to do to get any kind of results, to get us attacking properly and stuff like that. And I also do think that his transfer policies are a bit weird. So I think just like lack of preparation is what's really killing Arsenal right now.
Will, that's a good point, and I want to stick on that for a few minutes. Alex, I think we've had similar conversations when Chelsea brought in Frank a few seasons ago, and I think he was successful for the most part. Similar story to Arteta, young manager, history with the club. He did bring in some youth and all, and it's interesting, Will says his transfer policy is kind of up in the air. Is that really down to just Arteta, or is there more behind the scenes? Because this seems to be happening to Arsenal over the last few years, especially since Wenger left. They don't really spend, and when they do spend, they spend in areas like bringing Willian, for example, renewing Aubameyang at the age of 31 on a huge contract. There are certain things that you almost wonder. It's not really just Arteta. I'm not trying to defend him. I do think he could turn it around, but is there more behind the scenes we're not seeing? Alex, your thoughts really quickly?
I mean, from what I can tell, I've always thought it was interesting. You bring up Lampard too, because people were talking about the Lampard, Arteta, and Ole debates, because those were 3 former players who came into their club where they had some level of iconic status. All of them had a good history with the club. All of them had the footballing pedigree, I suppose, to be a very good manager. They have the IQ to be a good manager. They had differing levels, but some decent experience in multiple ways. And I remember when Lampard was sacked, there were a lot of Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, Arteta's won that debate." But then I do think, to be fair, you have to raise the question of, does that say something too about the board, about the backing that was given, maybe about the levels of ambition there? I think it's interesting. And I do agree with you, though, that sometimes there are issues behind the scenes. Maybe coaches want certain players and don't get them. Right. For example, I know Frank Lampard was begging for a January striker signing, and then one never came. He desperately just wanted a new center forward, anything. And we were on the market, but couldn't get a deal done for him. So I do think there are a lot of factors at play there, but ultimately you have to say, are the results good enough? Are we heading in the right direction? And is this something that's going to work long-term? And you've seen with Lampard, Chelsea fired him, which was a sad day for Chelsea fans, but he did his job. He got us top 4 on a transfer ban, and kept us in contention, had a great start to the Champions League season, which we ultimately won. So Lampard did his job, but it wasn't looking quite good enough, and they sent him packing. Ole had a few shaky moments, but they've kept him in his job. And as evidenced by their start to the season, obviously you can't read too deeply into it, he might be one who's developing, learning, and really improving as he goes. Arteta, I just don't know where he stands. I don't know. Will, you probably have, you seem to have a certain side in that debate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, he has to be sacked. I think that he should have been sacked at halftime, because I think Brentford at no point, I think that you can say that Brentford got lucky if Arsenal were dominating the game. Brentford, they managed to, score 2 quick goals, something like that, where you can kind of see, okay, you know what? It just wasn't our day. But Brentford looked better than us on the day. Right. And I do want to touch on what Alex said about how some Arsenal fans were saying that, oh, well, I guess that Arteta's won the debate between Frank Lampard and all this. Now, while I do think that Frank Lampard, not that he's a rubbish coach, but I do think that the job, again, I think that it was maybe too soon for him to get that kind of job at Chelsea. But what I will say is that, so Chelsea and Arsenal as clubs are on 2 different separate levels. Chelsea's ambition is way up here. Arsenal's level is way down here. For example, if Frank Lampard was Arsenal's manager and he had those run of results where Chelsea were about 8th or 9th, he'd still be Arsenal's manager. Whereas if Arteta was managing Chelsea and had the results that he's getting now, Roman would have sacked him match day 2, because the ambitions are different. So it really had nothing to do with Frank Lampard being a better coach than Arteta. I think it has to do with the ambition of the club. And Chelsea, as I say, And look, I could be honest. I hate you guys. I hate you guys. But I'm going to say it. Chelsea are the best run club in all of England, from your youth academy, which is the best in England, to basically your youth players, being sold, basically funded Romelu Lukaku coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that whole move was funded by players that never even that probably played like one game, then was sent on loan. And now, because of that, that money goes towards Lukaku. So I think that Arsenal fans that tried to banter Lampard and all this stuff, they're complete idiots, because it's just, like, you just can't compare it. Chelsea have ambitions that Arsenal just don't right now. So
really quickly, question for you, Will, before we move on.
Yeah, go ahead, boss.
When do you think they will fire Arteta? Do you think he makes it through Christmas, or do you think they're going to pull the plug sooner than that?
I think Arteta gets fired next month.
Okay.
So you look at it, Arsenal right now are 16th or 17th in the Premier League table after match day 1. Now, for the rest of this month, Brentford was the only team that I thought that we were going to get any points from. Next, we have you guys, as you know, that's why I'm on. Yep. And then we have Man City after that. We're not Tottenham. We don't play well against Man City ever. So we're going to go into September on 0 points. Then I think it's Brighton, or it's some team. It's like some lower team. I see us getting a draw there. And then I think by like mid-September, I think that we'll have 5 out of about 20-something available points, really. And then that's when I think that he will be sacked.
Wow.
Yeah, I just can't see him even lasting till Halloween, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
I'm giving it next month. Yeah.
So strong words there. We'll see what happens in the next few months here. Guys, let's talk about Manchester United next, because they had the opposite start to a match day, going 5 goals against Leeds, who were, to be fair, were a very, very strong side last year and just didn't look the part. Alex, 3 goals from Bruno Fernandes, no penalties, so nobody can say Fernandes today. 1 for Greenwood, Fred on, and Paul Pogba starting off on fire with 4 assists. Your thoughts on this opening day for them?
Yeah, that I was, because the Chelsea game was a little later, I hadn't intended to get up to watch it. But I sat up in my bed. I pulled out my phone. I think the score might have been 1-1 at that time. The second half was just beginning. And I said, you know what? I'll pop it on. I just quickly typed it up on my phone, found a stream, started watching, and just instantly it was raining goals. United were looking on a completely different level. Paul Pogba looked fantastic. And now it just the team, the cohesion, his goal to set up Greenwood was unbelievable. The through ball that like curled perfectly to meet his foot, and then Greenwood using pace and physicality and then slotting a perfect finish in the bottom corner. I mean, it's scary. It's a scary sight. You talk about Erling Haaland, you talk about Kylian Mbappe. I wouldn't put Greenwood on that level, but I'm certainly not saying, I mean, he's clearly one of the best young striking talents in the world. So it's scary times for everyone who doesn't like Manchester United, which I suppose is all 3 of us here today. But I will say as well, there's something to be said. I just don't understand how I feel about Ole. Obviously, we do have an Arsenal. We don't have a United fan here to share his insight. I've always questioned him tactically a little bit. And then I saw an article today that said, insider scoop, what Ole said to Paul Pogba before his beautiful game. I think it was a record. No Manchester United player had 4 assists in a game before in Premier League. And I said to myself, like jokingly, because I don't rate his tactics traditionally, I said, I bet he just said, go out there and have fun. And then I opened the article and it said, well, really, all I told Paul was to go out there and express himself. So I'm not sure we can read too deeply into Ole as a tactical manager, but in terms of the chemistry of the squad, a bright start, hungry team, and great talent on their day, this was a fantastic start. So I don't know if we can or should read too deeply into this. I don't know if, Will, you have thoughts on that, but it's certainly the way to start.
Yeah, of course, you are impressed with the win, but I'm not very surprised by the result. Don't forget, last time Leeds played Manchester United did slap them up. I believe they did score 6. It was like 6-1. And to piggyback off of your topic, Ole is an absolute trash manager. I think that Man United have a very good squad. Rafael Varane is going to be coming in. He was presented on Saturday. You have Jadon Sancho that's also, played his first game for Manchester United. Pogba, Bruno. Like, they have a bunch of world-class players on that team. And I think that they will do good in the Premier League. But when it comes to winning trophies, as long as Ale's there, I don't really see it happening. Now, the reason that I'm not so surprised with this result is because, again, it's like you said, Alex, Ale's tactics are pretty trash. Now, I think that Man United, they struggle to beat teams that sit back and let them have the ball to try to break them down. Now, where Man United do fantastic at is when teams press them and play high up, which is what Marcel Bielsa does with Leeds. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Bielsa is such a highly regarded manager. So it surprises me that it seems like he only has one way to play, which is just high press, high attack. Now, once you press Man United, they're going to tear you apart with all that quality. So I felt like, especially coming off of the last time they played them, it was a 6-1 loss. Why would you go into the game with the same tactics as you did the game before? So it wasn't that surprising to me. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I do think that Ale is a pretty pathetic manager. I think that he is benefiting from having a pretty good squad. And yeah, no, I'm not, I don't really look into too much of their wins. I do expect Man United to be a high scoring team, but in terms of competing for like the Premier League, I think that they will compete, but I don't think that they'll win it. And I don't even think that they'll come top 2. So like they did last season. So yeah.
No, fair enough. The analysis from both of you guys is spot on. I think I just want to heap a little more praise on to Paul Pogba. I think he's a character that gets a lot of hate. Rightly or wrongly so. I've never understood why people hate so much on Paul Pogba, but there's a word,
for example.
And he hates that guy.
For no apparent reason. But what I've noticed is he got the measure correct today and when I use that word is when the ball leaves his foot, the measure of where it landed was so accurate, specifically around that Greenwood one and the one he did to Bruno was incredible. I mean, the ball measurement was perfect today. So it's going to be good to see Man United together. They are a scary squad, but hope you guys are right. And when we play them tactically, they get it wrong, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Can I just ask
sure,
about,
go ahead.
Yeah, so how you were kind of bigging up Paul Pogba just now. I fully agree with you. I'm not gonna lie, I might be in the minority here, but I think when fully healthy, I think that Paul Pogba is the best center midfielder in the world. I think there's a reason why Manchester United are willing to lose him for free than sell him this season, because this is his last year on contract. Right. So he might say an extension, he might not, but they're willing to risk it because no matter what, like no matter how much money you have, there really is no midfielder that you can bring in to replace Paul Pogba. So yeah, I think that he's absolutely world class and he's a monster.
Yeah, absolutely. On his day, I think he's one of the best, especially when we saw them in the Euros alongside Conte. Then them two together it was an incredible pairing. So
a World Cup winning duo as well. So
exactly. All right, guys, let's move on. This is just a quick one. We'll talk about Leicester. Jamie Vardy back scoring goals, howling at the Wolves fans. Does it get any funnier than that from Jamie Vardy? Will, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, man. The thing about Jamie Vardy is that I think Jamie Vardy likes playing away from Leicester than he does playing at home, because I think that I think it's just something about just taking the piss out of like out of the fans. I think that's what gets him going. Now, right. I was still kind of surprised on the score of that game. I definitely thought that Leicester would kind of have more of a convincing win. Wolves aren't the best team, and but they did have Jimenez coming back from that scary head injury, but
horrible injury.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, Jamie Vardy is he's a great striker, and I think it's hard to not like him until he plays your team. But he's a funny character, though.
Yeah, and Alex, he keeps going, pushing 32 this year, I think.
Yeah, it's impressive. He's got. I mean, that's. I will admit, I'm maybe even slightly among this number. People say that FIFA has corrupted a generation into thinking that players are finished as soon as they hit 30, because that's in FIFA when their ratings start declining. They start running out of contract, getting injured, whatever. But and maybe I do definitely have that mental benchmark as well when I think, for example, even signing Lukaku, who's world class in his prime. I'm thinking he's pushing 30, whatnot. I still certainly have that mental benchmark, but I think I need to work on setting it aside sometimes. I think a lot of people do too, because as several great strikers have shown, I mean, even in Chelsea terms, Didier Drogba being a fantastic example, sometimes things just get better with age. And obviously, I mean, you can't even brush over the two GOATs of this generation, Messi and Ronaldo. They are both in their mid, now getting up there into their mid to late 30s in a couple of years. They're gonna, who knows how many more years they have in them, but they're still top class. So I think it is something to be said for some things just, age like fine wine. And Jamie Vardy seems to be one of those, though I wouldn't give him wine. I think he ages like Red Bull, which is, I believe, what he drinks before matches, if I'm not mistaken.
It's exactly what he does. Jamie Vardy has some secret to success and he keeps going with it. So good for him. And Leicester, let's see if they're going to be in and around the top 6 this year. Let's move on to newly promoted Watford, who sent a message. They ended up beating Aston Villa 3-2 at the end of the day. Will, thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, that was a very surprising win. I'm sitting here like, well, damn. I mean, I know that Villa lost Jack Grealish. I get it. It's a big loss. But you bring in Danny Ings, Leon Bailey. You still have
Buendia as well.
Yeah, and Buendia. I forgot about Buendia. Yeah, you have Buendia there, McGinn, Ollie Watkins. So I'm thinking should be a pretty comfortable win. And then Watford come out, and then they just absolutely pam them. Now, very surprising for me because I'm a person that, so I gamble on FanDuel, right? And usually when the underdog team scores first and fast, I'll run over there and I'll place the bet on the better team because then the odds kind of make sure that they're not going to win. So then you make money for betting on the better team.
Yeah.
So I ran over there as soon as Watford scored. I said, "Oh, it's a quick, easy goal." I said, "Okay, Villa should win." And then it was second goal, third goal. I was like, "What?" But
wow.
very, very shocking win, man. And Watford have some nice kits as well. I don't know if that's too relevant, but it's a very surprising win though. I cannot lie. I think that's probably okay, never mind. I was gonna say that was probably the most surprising. I was gonna say that was probably the most surprising win, but it's still got to be Brentford. But but that was pretty shocking though, still, because Villa do have some quality players. So
yeah, and Alex, you picked Grealish to fail at Manchester City. He was a big part of Aston Villa's squad. He's not there anymore. They, like Will has said, they've staffed correctly. They've got new players, Leon Bailey, others. Were you as surprised as we are in this performance?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the game, but from what I saw afterwards, I just don't think, I don't know. I don't think you can instantly replace a player who's the heartbeat of your team. We even saw with Hazard leaving Chelsea, there's a certain, you don't have to reinvent yourself, so to speak. There's obviously plenty of quality, but you do, to a certain degree, have to shift the way you think about the game, the way you approach it. There is something to be said about not having one guy who, get him the ball, he'll work his magic. And I'm not comparing Grealish to Hazard. I think it's pretty clear who's clear in that sense. But Grealish is a class player. He was the heartbeat of that Villa team. And I think that's just showing it's not going to be as easy as pie, just instantly replacing Jack Grealish, or even just gelling together with new signings in a new season. It's the Premier League. Any team can beat any team. And we've seen that a few times in this match week. So,
can I ask you a question, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
So you believe that Jack Grealish will flop at Man City?
It was a bold statement. I was looking for the disappointing signing of the season, and I sort of came up with that one. And then instantly I questioned myself, and I was like, he's playing next to Mahrez, KDB, probably with Kane up top. He's got Foden, Gundogan, unreal team around him. So that's when I said to myself, okay, maybe I'm just trying to be too edgy with my pick. But so far, we've seen a lot of headband, not a lot of foot movement.
But do you know what happens, Will and Alex? It's interesting that Alex went there. I don't know if it'll happen, but in the past we've talked about big fish, little pond, and Jack Grealish, with all due respect to Aston Villa, was almost like a big fish in a little pond. I think they do have a decent squad, but now you've taken this fish into the ocean. And so sometimes you may get overshadowed, overseen by some of these other players. You've got players. Jack Grealish is the kind of guy that wants the ball all the time, but you've also got a KDB that wants the ball all the time. You've got a Sterling that wants the ball all the time, Mahrez. And so trying to get yourself out there and known doesn't mean that he's going to fail. Probably not. Doesn't mean he's going to be as successful as 100 million players should be. That's up for debate. And we'll see that towards maybe the first half of the season.
Yeah, I think as well.
Analogy.
What was that?
Oh no, I was saying that was a great analogy. The big fish in a small pond. Like that could describe what could possibly happen to him at Man City. So I have to agree with you.
And I saw someone too on Twitter saying that he seemed to be almost like apologizing to his teammates a little bit. I think I saw someone was saying when he shot the ball, even though there wasn't a great pass on, he shot the ball, missed, and was like apologizing to his teammates. People are saying maybe he's really a little preoccupied with the idea that he has to fit in, he has to show his value, he has to show his teammates he's going to be a team player, not a ball hog. I did think it was ironic that all of 2 or 3 minutes into the game, he'd already dove and almost got a penalty. But he's a class player. Yeah, maybe with the price tag. The thing is, I feel like we should judge players as a player and not as their price tag because the market's so wonky now. But we have been judging players on their price tag. People like Pogba, people like Pulisic, people like Haaland and his ridiculous asking price. Neymar breaking the transfer market with his fee. That's the reality. And I think we do have to say, I'm not sure this investment is exactly what City needed, but yeah, we'll see how that goes.
All right, guys. The next big game was Liverpool cruising by Norwich. Not too much to talk about there, but I do have a question for both of you. Virgil van Dijk is back, looking fit, looking healthy. How big is he going to be for this season? Will, you first?
Virgil van Dijk, best center back in the world. I think he's better than Ramos. I think he's better than Ruben Diaz, all these guys. I think that a lot of people were saying, well, we don't know how he's going to come back from injury. And again, as you said, it was Norwich. He didn't really have to do that much, because Liverpool, they dominated possession. They were controlled the whole time. So it wasn't really a real test, you can say. But I think that having Virgil van Dijk is massive for Liverpool. I think he's their most important player because last season you saw how much they struggled without Van Dijk. I mean, granted, they didn't really have any center backs, but you saw how much they struggled when they first lost Van Dijk, and they still had Mane, Salah, Firmino, and all those players. But I think that Van Dijk is their best player. I think that he's he's at the bottom of like the spine, you can say, like from like midfield to up to the attack. And yeah, I think that having him back is massive. Having him is definitely massive. So yeah, Virgil van Dijk definitely it's good to see him back out there.
Alex, do you agree? And do you think that Liverpool are going to do a title challenge this year, maybe?
I agree. I agree Van Dijk's influence is massive. And I know we were discussing them before. I think I put them at 5th place, which may have been a little harsh. I don't want to read too deeply into this because obviously it's the first game of the season. None of these results really mean anything long-term. They're either a good or a bad way to start, but I'd seen Liverpool struggling due to their lack of midfield and attacking signings, or at least ultra high quality, because as we saw last year, if Mane or Salah has an off year, Salah, frankly, let's be real. I mean, he's going on 5 season wonder at this point. I will fully admit I was one of his doubters at the beginning, or rather I was maybe trying to underplay his achievements a bit, but he's a top class player, consistently bagging goals. I suffer heavily from thinking I'm above putting him in my fantasy team. Very big oversight. And I still think what Liverpool need, I've been talking to my friend about this, for any American fans out there, I think they need a Gio Reyna type player at Dortmund. I think they need, which maybe for the general footballing population, I would say a Coutinho type player. Now they did go out, use the funds from him, buy Van Dijk and some other players. They really revamped their squad. And that paid off. But I think they need a little more creativity in the midfield to beat some of the larger teams, perhaps, to really put in a fight, dominate games, even when it's not Norwich. Full respect to them, but they're just not quite at Liverpool's level, and that much is clear. So I still don't think Liverpool are going to be insane this season. But if Salah is firing like he was in this game, to be honest, when you have Van Dijk at the back in good form and Salah up top in good form, you're pretty much guaranteed goals and you're pretty much guaranteed good defense. They're certainly going to be pushing into the Champions League spots, I think. So I could now see them at 3rd or 4th, but again, so difficult to read off one game.
I'll just add one more thing in there. Diego Jota is going to be by black horse for them this season because he was brilliant last year and then got injured, and it was around the time they were kind of going down as well. So we'll be watching him. I think he's going to do something brilliant for them this year. He started the season well. He's playing that strike or false 9 position. I know he can drop and play that middle position or that attacking midfielder position that you're alluding to. So it might get interesting. We'll see how that plays out. We already talked about Brentford Arsenal. Before we move on to the Chelsea game, really quickly, thoughts on Tottenham versus Manchester City. Will?
Lucky win.
Okay.
Nah. Let me, I have to give some credit where credit is due. A big win, but Nuno does pretty well against Man City. Even when he was back there with Wolves, I remember I think it was a season or two ago that they did the double over Man City. So Nuno, he does set up his teams to play counterattack football. That's the only way that you will ever beat Man City is you have to counterattack, because if you press them, they'll pull you apart. So
they'll outplay them, yeah.
Definitely big win. Son, world class. I think Son is the best left winger in the world. I know that, well, no, not in the world. Whoa. And I think that Son is the best left winger in London. I know Alex might find some exception.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
But I think that Son is a world class player. But I just wanted to say really quickly, congratulations to Tottenham for winning their first trophy in 12 years, because that's how they were celebrating, was like that they won a. And look, so I just want to say congratulations, and this means nothing for Harry Kane. Trust me, Tottenham have been beating Man City quite a bit the past few years. City still go on to win trophies. Tottenham do not. Kane's not going to really say, oh, wow, we beat Tottenham today. Let me stay, instead of joining Jack Grealish, KDB, Mahrez, Sterling, and all these other world-class players. I'll stay at Tottenham. No, I don't think this really is going to affect that, but it was a big win. So you have to give credit where credit's due, because I know Arsenal can't do that. So,
Alex, tactically, I think Nuno got it right. They played really, really well. They had high energy. What's your thoughts, and will Kane stay?
Yeah, I don't think this changes anything with Kane. I think even the fact that they managed to beat him, they left him out of the squad for fitness purposes, supposedly. I think we all know that's probably not the real reason. I think I completely agree with Will there. I think he still goes to Man City, and Man City, frankly, is just financially and in terms of personnel in a much better place to, in the long term, win some trophies. Even in the short term, this season, they could pick up some great silverware. So I do agree. I don't think that's changing Kane's mind. I think maybe it gives Spurs a little belief that even though they've left out their star player, they've managed to pull a good result. And it wasn't necessarily ultra pretty. They were certainly defending. They were hitting them on the counter. But you know what? Effective is effective. A result's a result. A win against Man City is a win against Man City. Obviously, we Chelsea fans know a thing or two about that. Thomas Tuchel 3 times slapped up Pep Guardiola last season. But I think it's a very good start. I don't think, though, that changes my prediction that Spurs are going to struggle a little bit this season. I'm not sure they can pull out this level of energy and this level of clinical counterattacking performance against every big team they face. And we'll just have to see how they do, I guess, in those meat and drink fixtures, I suppose, in the middle of the season that make or break a Premier League run.
Yeah, and 150 million or so, if that's what's being said, could actually help Spurs rebuild or get some fresh blood into that team to potentially,
if they reinvest.
If they reinvest, and we know that's a problem at many clubs now. Go ahead, Will.
I mean, we saw how they invested that Gareth Bale money. They brought in 9 players. I think it was 7 players, I think, and the only 2 good players. If you want to say that Eric Lamela is good, then Eric Lamela, and I think that money also bought them Christian Eriksen, who was pretty good for them at the time too. But yeah, we've seen that Spurs don't really know what to do when they have a lot of money. So I'm not really too worried about it. Bottleham Hotspurs, just be prepared for another season of no trophies and just being the worst club in London. So yeah.
There we go. Bold words from both of you. I appreciate it. Whenever we get to stick it to Tottenham, we got to own it and go from there. Guys, let's move on to the Chelsea game, and they were playing Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira back in the Premier League as a manager this time, so that alone is exciting. Crystal Palace going through some rebuilds, but I'll go real quickly through the starting lineup, and then we'll open up into the game. So Mendy in goal, Trevor Chalobah. Alex, I think you might have said something about him, that he's been performing really, really well in preseason. He gets the call up at right central back position. Andres Christensen in the middle, Antonio Rudiger in the far left. Cesar Azpilicueta gets right wing back, Jorginho, Kovacic, and Alonso to complete that midfield. Mason Mount alongside Christian Palasic, and Timo Werner leading the line. So, Alex, we'll jump right into it. Pulisic loves a Palace game, doesn't he?
He certainly does. It's great because I was so certain about it. I was talking all kinds of crap. I tweeted that. I tweeted that GIF of Ronaldinho licking his lips at Milan. And I said, Pulisic, when he learns he's starting about Palace, when he's rubbing his hands together, licking his lip, because it's inevitable at this point. I I said, and even during the game, someone asked me how Pulisic was playing. I said, he's been really bright. And the weird thing is I'm becoming more and more of a Christian Pulisic agenda type guy, in that before I always tried to be nice and calm and rational. And then when I see some of the weird criticisms of him from even our fellow Chelsea fans, like people saying, oh, he was doing nothing in the first half when he was drawing fouls, linking play well, had a nice header on target. I was like, no, be quiet. Let our boy do his thing. This is his favorite team to play against. And sure enough, he bagged a goal, right place, right time, popped in a rebound off of some good Mason Mount wing work. I was very impressed, honestly, because if you go out, the best thing is it wasn't even his best game. We know what he can do when he's at his very brilliant best, but he did everything he needed to do. He got us a goal. He linked up play nicely. He had some of his trademark dribbles. It was just all you ask for in a performance. So I was personally very happy. And just to quickly go through that Captain America goal in the 40th minute was complemented by the opening goal in the 27th was a nice free kick from Alonso, who we know has a good left foot on him. And that Trevoh Chalobah goal in the 58th minute, just a real low daisy cutter, really nice shot, powered into the bottom left. So all in all, that was just a really solid start to the season. And I don't want to get too optimistic and say, this is great, we're winning the league. But you know, it was a very, very solid start, even though I don't believe we started N'Golo Kante, Mason Mount, obviously not Lukaku. We didn't start Thiago Silva. We didn't start Chilwell, who for a lot of last season was our starting left back. We didn't start Reece James, who I think normally would take that right wing back role. Great way to begin the season for me.
Yeah. Will, your thoughts on this one? I know it's tough for Arsenal to talk about Chelsea, but let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, the thing. So, yeah, all right, I'm gonna have to agree with Alex here. It was a very good win, especially considering that all those players were missing. I definitely do think, at the end of the day, it is Crystal Palace. They are like one of those teams that you are expected to beat up on. But, again, with Patrick Vieira being their new manager, you could have said that the players might have been a little bit more up for it than usual. And just a real quick fun fact for you guys. Vieira, former Arsenal legend, has played 10 games against Chelsea as a player, never lost to them. In his first game as a manager, loses to Chelsea. So, yeah, so, it's pretty funny. But, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to agree with Alex there. Very good win. A very convincing win, I'd say that. Yeah, Pulisic, I don't know what it is against Palace, but look, he seems to always score against them. And I think this also does go back to when I say Chelsea's academy, because this Chalboa, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name wrong. Or
I think it's Trevoh Chalobah.
Chalobah. Point is, you guys know what I'm saying. Played in the Super Cup last week. Was pretty much, I think he was the man of the match officially, but if he wasn't, he definitely was up there. Then, this week it was rumored that, I remember I saw some Chelsea pages saying that he's rumored that he will be starting. And I'm sitting here like, because I didn't watch Super Cup. I'm not going to lie. I thought that you guys would dominate Villarreal, so I was a bit surprised that it went to, I was out. I was like, I'm not going to watch that because, they're going to win. But, he had a good game, and then he starts against Crystal Palace, and he has a fantastic performance. And as I said, with Chelsea's academy, who the hell is this guy? Where he just comes in, and he's another guy that Chelsea had on their loan army. You know how you guys have about 85 players on loan every year, and then they just get their chance, they take it, and then now what's crazy is that he has now, if Chelsea were to sell him right now, that's at least 30 million, because he's English, he's young, he just made and this is what I'm talking about, how Chelsea just do fantastic business. They just always come out with these youth players from somewhere, from loan from Betis or something like that. And then they just make their mark. So, I definitely do think that it was a good win for Chelsea. And considering how easy it was for you guys with, again, all those players not being there. So, yeah, no, Chelsea have, in my opinion, the second best squad in England. I think right behind Man City in terms of their starting 11 that they could put out, and then what they also do have available to them on the bench. I think Chelsea overall have one of the best squads in England. So, and you guys showed your depth on Saturday.
You know what, Will? I'm glad you talked about Chalobah, because I think as a rival fan, what you noticed is actually encouraging, because I noticed this gentleman play and I thought he was brilliant. I thought for a 22-year-old who has had some experience, but to come on and own a game and boss players around like he did was very, very encouraging. And Alex, it almost leads me to believe, do we need to be on the market for a center back? I think I said this in the previous episode. Chelsea have been linked with multiple center backs. We did sell a couple of center backs. And before I let you answer, Tuchel actually said that this is the way he wants Chelsea run, meaning that they are a well-operated club, as Will has alluded to, where they can go out and buy talent, but they should find a mix of talent that is homegrown. And he did mention Mount, he did mention Reece, he did mention others like that. And so do we need to go out and look for a center back at this point?
I definitely, I agree with what Will's saying, that I do think Chelsea are the best run club in England. I would arguably say, certainly I would say maybe top 3 best run, top flight clubs in the world, just not in that they're necessarily always the most successful, but we rarely go seasons without winning a trophy. And yet we've developed the youth so well. We're still ambitious in the transfer market. And when we have poor runs of form, sometimes it's ruthless, sometimes it hurts, but we sack managers and get results with the next guy. So there are some ups and downs in the Chelsea journey. We'll win a great game and then we'll lose to some team who we thought we would completely dominate, or we'll end up, we've had a bad run in the FA Cup in a couple recent years, one against Will's Arsenal, and recently, not a bad run, a bad final, which I suppose you could say it's a good problem to have, that you get to the final and can't maybe get the trophy. But overall, my point is that I think Chelsea's, as you guys have said, doing fantastic business. And just for some insight, Trevor Chalobah was on loan in Ipswich. Then he was on loan at Huddersfield. He was on loan at Lorient in France. And then he came, and probably because Thiago Silva and Brazil got deep into the Copa America, and some of our other starting center backs weren't fully fit yet, he got his chance, seized it, took it, and now he's looking like a rotation squad player at the very least. I think in terms of being in the market for a center back, Koundé was the name that had been rumored from Sevilla. Maybe it's an unpopular opinion right now. I still think we need to go out and get him, because I think we clearly have the budget for it. Having settled for Lukaku, knowing well that we had the money to land Erling Haaland, I think we have the budget for it. As Will said earlier, we've sold some players. Tammy Abraham, love the guy. But we did do good business selling him to Roma today. I believe he had his medical for 40 million euros. And that's the thing about Chelsea and the academy. Not every single one of them needs to make it, so to speak. You love the guys. You want to see them succeed. It was really touching. I think Chalobah had tweeted in 2016 or something, "I'm going to make it for you, Mom." And saying, like, I'm going to make it here. I'm going to make my career work out, do it for my family. And then he scores on his Premier League debut, beautiful goal, man of the match level performance. So they can't all make it, but we still need to invest in foreign players. I've gone in like 3 different circles here, but my main point is I do think we need Koundé. I still think we should invest in our defense, because as Piliqueta, top class player, but he's also aging a little bit. We've got Reece James for right wing back, who can also slot in at right center back. But I think we just need to keep strengthening and pulling in great academy players. I'm so excited as a Chelsea fan right now. We're kind of spoiled at the moment, coming off success and looking pretty good in the future. Sorry, Will, to rub it in, but I'm in a good mood, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, bro, I can't blame you. And look, like, it feels very weird complimenting Chelsea, but, you have to call it what it is, because anything else that I would say that's kind of discrediting Chelsea, especially after seeing you guys win a second Champions League in 10 years, it will kind of be crazy of me. But I just want to just quick, really just say, so just really quickly, back to Alex's point about getting, what's the guy's name?
Jules Koundé
from Sevilla. I actually agree with Alex. I think that he should be bought, because I think after this season, Thiago Silva is pretty much done. I think he'll be like 37 or something like that. Right. So I feel like get his replacement in now so that you don't have to worry about it next season. On top of that, when we were also talking about Chelsea's youth academy again, the guy on Crystal Palace, the center back, Mark Guehi, he's from Chelsea.
Right.
And he was an absolute monster in the championship last season. And actually, a lot of Chelsea fans were mad that he was sold.
I was.
But again, that's a player who's never really played for Chelsea. He maybe played like a Carabao Cup game once. They send him on loan. He got his value up on loan. They sell him. That brings you Lukaku and etc. So, I mean, yeah, look, you guys do have a lot of stuff to be excited about. And yeah, I don't want to get too much into it. But yeah, that's definitely crazy, man. It's definitely crazy.
All right, guys, let's look forward to next game, which we've enjoyed you talking about the Premier League review, but now we're here to preview the big one. And that's another London derby coming back to back. We're playing Arsenal. So why don't you give us your thoughts on London derbies, and maybe we can get a predicted 11 from you?
Oh, man. All right. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think that, and I also did forget to mention this earlier, I do want to say that Chelsea, you guys are the reason that Arteta is still in the job, because if it was not for that FA Cup run, I'm telling you, he would not be back this much. I don't know. And at the time, I was so happy, but now I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe we could have lost, maybe for like the longer term purpose, but it's whatever. But, I'm not going to lie. I think that Arteta does, if I have to give him any kind of credit, I think that Arteta does do well, or not well, but I think he does do a bit better in bigger games. We saw how we did the double over you guys last season. And, at the time, we were coming off of both, not both, but especially Arsenal. We were on bad runs of form kind of for both of those games that we beat you guys. So it is a bit surprising how we do step it up against Chelsea. And I just can't really see us beating you guys right now, especially because Lukaku is going to be making his debut more than likely against us. I don't think we're going to have anybody to deal with Lukaku, Pulisic, Ziyech, Reece James on the wing, Mason Mount, Conte, Kovacic, Jorginho. Jesus Christ. Ben Chilwell. So you're telling me, on top of that, Aubameyang and Lacazette are reportedly going to miss that game due to illness. Now, there are rumors that there is some, there is some disagreements in the locker room, and that Arteta may be losing some of the locker room, and that's probably why we won't be seeing them. So that's something to look out for, but I just don't think that right now we're not equipped to deal with Chelsea. And I said the same thing when we beat you guys in December, because I said after Chelsea beat us 6-0 last December, because that's what I thought the score was going to be, I said that is good. That is what's going to get Arteta sacked. And then we go out there and win. And I'm like, oh, come on. So, but I think now it's completely different. Chelsea are on an absolute high right now. Like, if there's two different spectrums, Chelsea is on like the highest right now, Arsenal are on the lowest. So if we couldn't contend with Brentford, we definitely can't contend with Chelsea right now. Chelsea are coming off of Champions League win, Super Cup win, smacking up Crystal Palace. And then, now I think that is going to be a pretty easy win for you guys this week. If I had to give a predicted 11, okay, so I know that Arteta basically likes to do the 4-2-3-1, you can say, the double pivot. So sadly, Leno has to be in goal because we have nobody better. I think at left back, Kieran Tierney, I think Tierney's an absolute monster. I think he is better than Ben Chilwell. I know that you guys may not agree, but to me, I think that Tierney is.
I think he's a very good player. I do think he's a very, very good player.
At center back, I don't know if I think Gabriel is our best left-sided center back, but again, Brazil got pretty deep in the Olympics, and they won. They actually won the gold medal for soccer in the Olympics. So Gabriel might not be back, but hopefully he is. So I'll just put Gabriel in there. Right-sided center back, I'm gonna go with Ben White because you paid $50 million for him. He has to play. He didn't look that good against Brentford, but he didn't really do that much wrong. So what's kind of his Premier League debut, could have been a bit nervous, but he has to step it up now because he is our most expensive defensive signing, I think. So Ben White has to be in there. At right back, I would actually go Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I don't like Bellerin. I think he's more interested in being a fashion model than being a footballer. And I don't really rate Callum Chambers to start. I think Callum Chambers could come off the bench. So I hope that Ainsley Maitland-Niles starts. Double pivot, I don't think Partey is going to be back. If by the chance, if God is hearing me, please let Partey be fit for this game. But I'm going to go off if he's not fit because we don't have any updates as of right now. So sadly, you have to start Xhaka. He's absolutely rubbish, but Xhaka has to start. And I think that you have to go with Lukongo, again, the young kid that we signed from Anderlecht. Mm-hmm. Then at the number 10 position, you have to go Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yeah, he's good.
Then he's your number 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is my number 10, but I actually don't want to throw in about that either. But just give me
all right.
just give me Smith Rowe at 10. Give me Pepe on the right wing. Give me Saka on the left wing. Give me Martinelli up top. That's how I would set up. And, I think that, Conte isn't going to want to see Martinelli on the pitch again. But, yeah, I mean, that's how I would line up. But Arteta's probably not going to do that. And we'll do something stupid. And, yeah.
Well, I think Martinelli owes Conte a thank you for giving him a career personally by slipping, whatever. It is what it is. I still think that's the most overrated goal in the history of the world. The famous Arsenal 2-2 win. I'm just saying there was a lot of crap talked online when Conte literally just slipped and fell. That also excused a horrendous touch by Martinelli that would have taken the ball away from him if Conte had still been on his feet. So you know what? We won't get into that. I think the thing is, you say Chelsea are on the highest high, Arsenal are on the lowest low. Maybe our ups and downs as Chelsea fans pale in comparison to those of Arsenal fans. But I am most scared of Chelsea when we're on the highest highs, because consistently we'll be on a great run. As you said, Arsenal will be in poor form. We'll be in good form. We'll be looking strong. We'll be coming off wins. We'll be coming off trophies. And somehow we just don't show up against a team that we know on paper, given form and personnel, we should probably be able to beat. Chelsea coming off a 3-0 win, Arsenal off a 2-0 loss. That should mean, theoretically, we touched on this too. Havertz didn't start. Mount didn't start. Lukaku is going to come. That's a ridiculous inclusion in itself. Chilwell and James didn't start. Our starting center backs didn't start. And we still did not, we still beat Crystal Palace 3-0. We should be, with all due respect, slapping Arsenal given form. But I can almost promise you, and I hope it happens, but I can almost promise you we will not slap Arsenal, because to their credit, Arsenal do turn up in bigger games, I think. I think just mentally they're up for the fight. I do think Arteta maybe steps up his game a little bit. And even if it's not always pretty, I think you guys find a way to get results. So it's never as easy as it looks on paper. And as you said, you did the double over us in the Premier League last year. I don't think this is going to be an easy game. And I do think it's a crucial game, though, because looking at Chelsea's upcoming fixtures, after Arsenal, we have Liverpool, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Man City. So we're playing 4 of the traditional big 6 in the next 5 games. And Aston Villa, even if they did lose their opening fixture, they're certainly not a walkover team. Yes. So we've got 5 tough fixtures in a row coming up. And I think we really need a win if we want to take good momentum into Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham, City. I just don't think it's going to be easy, even with all these new players coming in.
So what's your predicted 11, Alex?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I like what we did in this Palace game, and you almost want to reward Chalobah for his great performance. You almost want to reward him by starting him again. So I would go maybe Rudiger, Chalobah, maybe Azpilicueta as a right center back and Reece James as a right wing back to give us a bit more pace and power on the wing. He's got a great cross on him, good attacking threat. So I would go maybe, it's tough. Alonso also always seems to be up for a London derby. Mm-hmm. I think personally, I actually remember a year or two ago, I have an Alonso kit because we were tied with Arsenal. I believe it was 2-2. We were tied, and I said, whoever scores the winner, I will buy their kit. And Alonso did one of his trademark poaching goals from left back, somehow poached a finish off a cross. I don't know how that works. He put the ball in the net, and I bought a Marcus Alonso kit. So personally, I'd reward him for his great performance against Palace. So I'd go Mendy in goal, obviously. I'd go Alonso, Rudiger, Chalobah again, Azpilicueta right center back for some good experience and 1v1 defending. He's not going to slip like Conte did. Martinelli will not be given a career revival. Reece James right wing back, and then the Jovicic pivot. They did pretty well. I don't think, I mean, they get their fair share of stick. They don't get assists. They don't really have shots on them, but they can run games. They can dominate games. They outclassed Real Madrid's midfield last when we played them with obviously that was Jorginho and Conte, I believe. But Conte, whether or not he plays, I still think we can really control the midfield. I think he should play, but maybe, frankly, it ends up being Jorginho, Conte, realistically, if Conte's fit again. And then, God, what do we even do with the attacking talent we have is ridiculous. I just don't know. I don't know how to put together. You can't really put together a bad attacking lineup. Being biased, coming off a goal against Crystal Palace, I truly think Pulisic is the right person to in a scrappy game against maybe a more formidable opposition. I think he could be great as a partner to Lukaku. So I think I would love to see Lukaku start. Something in me says Lukaku starts on the bench and they give him minutes. Maybe let him start at home or start in the next game. They don't want to throw him into the fire right away, but he's Premier League proven. He's getting fit. He's here. Supposedly he's in contention to start. For me, it's got to be Pulisic, Lukaku, Mount. That's harsh on Havertz because he's a quality player. But I think Mason Mount is always bright. He's a complete player in that he can defend as well as attack. I think Lukaku is a weapon in himself. Everyone knows that. And I think Christian Pulisic's dribbling, drawing fouls, interplay, and ability to get a scrappy goal, to be in the right place at the right time, I think that perfectly complements the front three we have. So biased as heck maybe, but I'm going Pulisic, Lukaku, Mount.
No, look, like you said, it's tough to pick a starting three just because of the attacking talent Chelsea have. But again, it's a London derby. It's an exciting one. Game is going to kick off at Arsenal, 10:30 a.m. Central. That's 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, August 22nd. So I think we're all going to be tuned in. We're all going to be seeing what's going to happen there. But before we wrap up today, guys, I have to ask for a prediction. So, Will, I'll let you go first. What do you think the scoreline is going to be? Maybe you can place a bet on it.
Well, okay. Well, yeah, I definitely don't bet on my team ever because I feel like I always get let down whenever I bet on my team. I mean, I'm probably going to get let down regardless. So, I mean, yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, but the odds will be in Arsenal's favor. So, I don't know. Maybe if I'm feeling really confident, maybe if I'm like, I'd lose some money, whatever. But I'm not going to lie. Usually I don't like going against my team. But I have to be realistic here. As Alex said, I don't think it'll be a walk in the park for Chelsea, but I do think that it will be a comfortable win. I'm going to have to go. Oh, geez. Because Thomas Tuchel, like, you guys don't really even concede goals like that either. But I do think that we do score a goal. I think our first home game of the season against Chelsea. 3-1 Chelsea. 3-1 Chelsea. Don't ask me who scores for us.
That's right, yeah.
Can't even tell you. Maybe Pepe. And then I actually do think Lukaku is going to start. I think, look, you guys paid 115 million euros for him. He's not coming off the bench. Timo Werner, I mean, I hope that Werner starts, which is weird to say, considering that I don't think that Timo Werner is a bad striker, but his confidence has just been shaky.
Right.
And I feel like his confidence is going to probably be a bit more damaged now that you guys spent so much money on basically somebody to do the job that he was brought in to do. So hopefully Werner starts, but I think that Lukaku will start, like Alex said, and I think that he's going to score a brace. I think that he's fast. He's too big. He's too fast. He's too strong. I don't think we're going to have a center back. I think he's going to give us a lot of problems. And I actually think that I can't tell you who I think scores your third, but I think that Lukaku scores a brace. I think that maybe Pepe scores. And I would say, though, for Chelsea, I think it was a bit funny how you put Mason Mount on the right wing. I don't know if Ziyech is fit or not.
No,
but
he has an injury.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. Yeah, but then what about Hudson-Odoi maybe? Because then wouldn't you prefer Mount to kind of be used for midfield? But at the same time, you guys have so much squad depth, it doesn't even matter. Because Kai Havertz wasn't even mentioned in the starting 11. So, I mean, yeah, no, I just can't see us winning this game. So, yeah, 3-1 Chelsea. 3-1 Chelsea.
All right. Sadly. Cool. Alex, your thoughts?
I would love a 3-1 Chelsea win. In a weird way, my fully negative side gives us a draw against Arsenal, but that's maybe just the ghosts of having lost to Arsenal multiple times in a row while we were in good form comparatively. Right. I could see personally a 2-0. I think Arsenal won't roll over and make it easy for us. I think our defense is hopefully good enough to keep them out, but you never know. They've got quality. As you said, Pepe could curl in a shot. Martinelli could be given another lucky break with a slip. You never know. But I think Chelsea hopefully have this one. I hate trying to. I don't want to jinx it, but everything says to me Chelsea need to win this game. They should win this game. I'm going 2-0. I think Lukaku scores one. I think Pulisic bags again. There's some bias for you, but I think with a lot of the focus on Lukaku, that'll open some opportunities for our other players to get in a good position, receive a good pass, get a good chance. Because you can't not focus on Romelu Lukaku. He's a beast. He's clinical finisher, fast, strong, everything you need in a striker. So, that's for me. It's Pulisic and Lukaku in a 2-0 win.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with 2-0 as well. Don't ask me who scores. There are too many players out there to rotate from. But guys, I think that wraps it up. Will, really appreciate you taking the time to come on this podcast. Why don't you tell us your Instagram handle and anything else you want to share with us?
All right, yeah. Shout out to you guys for inviting me on. This is definitely fun. So yeah, hopefully I could come back on maybe next time we play you guys. So yeah, it was definitely a good experience. But you guys can follow me on Instagram at Willtalks.futbol. So I mean, you say it like that because it's FUTBOL. So yeah, and that's where I'm at on Instagram. And if you guys see me trolling on other people's pages, comment stuff, look. Just, ignore it. It's just me just having fun and kind of venting a little bit. But yeah, shout out to you guys for bringing me on. Definitely a fun experience.
Absolutely appreciate it. But that wraps it up, guys. Thanks very much for listening. Continue to subscribe, like, and follow us. It's at the Premier Chelsea. We can be found on Apple, Spotify, Google, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow Alex as well. He's at Pulisic FC22 and at Willtalks.futbol, like he said. And as always, we'll be back in the future with another episode. Thanks all. Bye. All right, guys, that's it. So it'll stop recording when I hit end, but thanks, Will. Appreciated.
No problem, man. Thank you guys for having me on. As I said, definitely a fun experience.
Yeah, we just kept it to right under an hour. So hopefully we didn't take too much of your time.
Nah, look, bro. It's no problem at all. It's no problem. Thank you guys though for bringing me on. Yeah, I mean, hopefully next week you guys can be crying about the loss that you guys might have. So I mean, hopefully
we'll see. See how that plays out.
We also might just going off the fact that I know Rahul's busy for a little while, and I'm heading to France soon, actually, with my family. So it might be tough for me to get on in the next few weeks. Yeah, semester abroad. So that's why stay in touch if you want. If you're interested, you said you're looking to maybe get back into some videos, some content, because we may well need you as a sub if we're shorthanded again at some point. And we can give you the link as well. If we want to do the video too, you could clip a few comments and stuff, use that as content for your page. It's up to you, but we'll get you the stuff. And if you want, you're free to promote it and tell people to check out your contributions as well.
Yep. All right, yeah, dope. Yeah, definitely. How you just messaged me on IG. If you like need me to come on, or if you like you want me to help host or something, then you could definitely just message me, and if I'm free, I'll definitely do it. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, man.
See you. Thanks.
All right, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
All right, Alex. I have it titled as Brentford Masterclass and Christian Palasic.
Sounds perfect.
Anything else? So if not, then I will start working on the artwork. Once I stop recording, it will dump out the video and audio. And I'm actually going to send it over to Rahul because he uploads it through Anchor or whatever.
Perfect. That sounds good.
At that point, we're good. Yeah.
That sounds good to me. Yeah, well done. And we'll and we can
we'll try and schedule for the next one. When are you leaving for France?
18th. So this Wednesday.
Okay, so we'll figure it out. We'll message you and see how your schedule and all looks. If not, we'll go from there and figure it out.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'm sure I'll hopefully be able to get some Wi-Fi of some kind, find a good place to settle in, and I'll be able to do some videos from there. But
are you in a university there where you're going, or?
I'm going through a dedicated abroad program that has their own school and classes and such. But I'm also looking to take business classes at a college a business college in France. So yeah, hopefully it's good, but I'll stay in touch and just let me know when everything's ready, and I'll get the book up. I'll put a teaser story up actually as well.
Cool. All right. We have a good night, man. Then see you.
All right.
Safe journey to France.
Thank you. All right. See you later.
Bye.